Tailgate University. Today we're going to talk about breeding seasons. So we're going to start off with first, what in the heck is a breeding season? And then we're going to talk about why we need one and how we get there. Okay? So first of all, when we're talking about breeding seasons, we're thinking in terms of beef cattle, and we're talking about the time in which those females are eligible to be bred. Okay, so typically we're going to talk about a natural service situation today, and we're talking about the length of time that that bull is in the pasture field with those cows and heifers, and they can be bred. So a question that we like to ask producers is, well, how long is your breeding season?
Well, almost everybody has a breeding season. The problem is, lots of times that's 12 months out of the year, Sarah.
That's the problem. So we really need to make sure that for our breeding season to be effective, that we have a defined time. And there's lots of debate on how long should a breeding season be. We've heard everything from down as low as 30 to 45 days. Some are 60 days, some are 90 days. So it really depends on your operation. But in order for it to be the most effective in terms of management and marketing, we want our breeding seasons to be at least 90 days or shorter. Why is that, you think?
Well, the big thing about breeding seasons and getting those calving seasons down to a manageable time frame, think about the things that we have to do to calves in order to increase the value of those calves. You know, the things that increase value of calves is being able to castrate the male calves, being able to vaccinate our cattle with an approved vaccination program that allows us to be able to market into just about any kind of a marketing situation. And in order to be able to do that, we'd like to be able to do the same thing to all the calves at one time. And that keeps all of our calves growing at about the same rate, which gets them all about the same size, which opens up many, many avenues in marketing. You know, Sarah, if we got a 12-month calving season, then basically about the only market we can effectively use is a weekly market.
Right, because none of our calves are the same size, weight, or age.
That's right, but we've all heard people who wear neckties and carry briefcases tell us that we can make more money if we sell in larger groups. And in order to do that, they've all got to be the same size. So even if you only have 10 cows, you will add value to those 10 calves by being able to market them as one group of calves that are very similar in size and age.
And I don't know anyone who doesn't want more out of their cattle check.
That's true. You know, it's the old timer saying that nobody wants 10% more whenever they're $1.50 or $2 a pound, but everybody wants 10% whenever they're 90 cents.
Exactly. So how do we go about getting a defined breeding season if we happen to be one of those producers that maybe doesn't have one, or we're just starting out and we need to know more?
Well, and you know, folks think, well, I'll have to get rid of about all my cows. But if you've got records on your cows and when they calve, just like wildlife and nature, you'll find that most of them tend to calve close to the time whenever forage is available. So you'll have more calves in the spring and fall than you will have in July. But the thing that you have to keep in mind is, if you're at a 12-month calving season right now, what you need to work toward is being something less than that next year. It doesn't have to be 90 days next year, but it needs to be something less than 12 months. So the way I tell folks to start is, look at your heifers that you're going to save. Synchronize those heifers. Now, we're not going to use AI. We're talking about 1, maybe 2 trips through the chute here. But synchronize those heifers and let your bull go ahead and breed them, or breed them AI if you need to. But do that a minimum of 2 weeks, preferably a month, before your cow herd, simply because it's going to take those heifers longer to get back into heat and get pregnant after that first calf. So we'll give them a head start so that they can come back into heat and get bred with the cow herd. The next thing to do is pull that bull out of the months that would result in calving during the hot part of the summer. Those calves are the calves that we have the biggest issue with in terms of getting them to grow, health problems, all of that type of thing, flies, any of those things, because they're born at the wrong time of year. So figure backwards, pull that bull out. Now you're going to end up, whenever you do that, needing to preg check. We cannot specify enough that preg checking is an integral part of what we're talking about here. So at least 45 days, not much longer, but about 45 days after you pull that bull out, we need to palpate these cows and make sure that they're pregnant. Now, inevitably, we're going to have some cows that are not pregnant. So, Sarah, what do we do with those cows?
Well, there's a couple of different options that we can choose to do with our open cows. The first of which is going to be shift them to a different breeding season. If your target is a spring breeding season and you also have a fall breeding season, you could potentially shift them to the fall, but be careful about doing that. There's a reason why they didn't get bred in the spring, and depending upon what that reason is, it may be grounds to potentially cull that animal. That brings up another option, which is to cull those animals from your herd. If you have been having a 12-month breeding season where the bull has been with that cow 12 months out of the year and she comes up open, I'm not sure there's much excuse for her to be open at that point. And so culling could be something that we would consider pretty strongly at that point. You know, when we have a group of open cows after we preg check, we can evaluate, you know, what's the teeth status on that cow? How old is she? How good are her feet? How good are her legs? And, you know, don't forget attitude as well. Attitude is important. All of those could be reasons to cull an open cow. But just because we're saying cull that open cow doesn't mean that we have to take the 25-cent price for cull cows. If we have the resources and the space and the time, we can get that cow pregnant out of a breeding season that fits our operation and potentially market her as a bred cow for someone else's herd to where she fits better in that situation. That's a way to add value to that animal instead of basically just taking a price that we wouldn't be super thrilled with.
Well, Sarah, I think it's important to keep in mind that culling cows out of your herd is a great thing.
That is true.
It is the best management tool that you'll ever have. And before everybody starts groaning, let me tell you this. If you're replacing the cows that you cull out of your program with the heifers that you have selected, then you're replacing those cows with animals that are better than any cow in your herd. If you're doing the correct job of heifer replacement, then by all means, anytime you take a cow off of the back end of the herd and put a heifer in front, you're raising the overall quality of your herd. You know, I'm talking about taking that bull out for just a little while. Next year, add a month to the time he's out. The next year, add another month or two. We're talking about taking him out when cows calve during the hot weather. Very few of the cows get pregnant and calve during hot weather anyway, so you're probably not going to cull that many cows, but the ones that you do cull are the ones that couldn't get pregnant whenever they were supposed to.
Exactly. Well, thanks for tuning in today for today's episode of Tailgate University. As always, if you have questions, you can reach out to us on this post or via phone call or email or Facebook, and we look forward to seeing you the next time.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.